So quick question for all the law players out there. Do y'all prefer like the liquid in the bottle, or are you more like a glue stick kind of guy? What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. I'm LotusAsakura, one of the best, and today's video I'm bringing you yet again another Tekken 8 tier list. But as you all know, my tier lists are almost never about the actual character power and where I rank the characters in terms of how strong I think they are, but more so about quite literally anything else, because that's way more fun and interesting. At least I think so. Or if nothing else, I think it makes for some entertaining content. So if we jump on over to Tier Maker today, I'm sure you've already figured it out based on the title and thumbnail, but today we're ranking characters based on who the players of are the biggest glue eaters. That's right. I'm not gonna lie to you. Tekken 8's a very aggressive game that encourages a lot of button pushing. You know what I'm saying? Par for the course. I understand. You know what I'm saying? Y'all ain't paid $60 to block. I get it, okay? But today we're ranking characters based on whose player base are the biggest glue eaters in the community. I think it's gonna be buckets and buckets of fun. So let's go ahead and get it popping. But of course, we can't start off with these tiers just S, A, B, C. That's not good enough. That's not gonna cut it. So at the very tippity top of the tier, we're gonna go ahead and go with the Gorilla Glue Guzzlers. You know what I'm saying? These are the actual animals of the game that you already know what you're in for. You know, let's keep it on with the we got cement savants. You know what I'm saying? You know, they partake in their own fair share of the look, you feel me, when it comes to the glue. Then we have our paste professionals. Let's go ahead. You know what I'm saying? Then for the fourth tier, let's go ahead and go with the adhesive aficionados. Am I spelling that properly? Adhesive aficionado. I think that looks right. Why is this not centered properly? Let's just go ahead and make shift center this. That's gonna have to do for now. And then we have our proper citizens who do not partake in the guzzling of the glue like the rest of these savages. Excuse me. Anyway, actually, low-key, it's bothering me that this S is just not attached to the rest of the word, so we're just going to leave it at paste professional just for the sake of it looking better. Otherwise, that's going to irritate me and you. All right, or should I say you and I, you know, because I'm a proper citizen. Anyway, that being said, let's go ahead and jump into it. So obviously, the characters are listed here in this order, and we're just going to go through the same way that I always do when I make these tier lists. First one, Jack 8. Jack 8, very far from the top of the list. The way that he's just always screaming and yelling screams to me as if he's a big giant glue eater, but he's really not. The majority of the Jack players I fight, though, I wouldn't have necessarily said they're glue eaters per se, but they all play the exact same. They all do plus frames into a throw. And that's really it. They all try to do they have that plus on block high string, and then they have the plus on block running move, and then they think you're not gonna duck the throw or break the throw. So, you know what I'm saying? It's like kind of predictable for the most part when I fight them. So, you know what I'm saying? I guess you could say that about a lot of these characters, but due to their lack of ability to adapt at all or have any difference in their play styles or any other game plan whatsoever, I'm not going to put them in proper citizens, but adhesive aficionados, I think the Jack 8 players, y'all can go comfortably right there. Then we have Jin, which the Jin players are a little bit more of a mixed bag because you have some Jin players that don't know how to do literally anything other than forward 2 and down 2. You have some Jin players that mash parries like crazy, other players who are constantly just doing cans. So, you know, it's a little bit different, but Jin is one of those characters that once you get to a decent level, then you actually start seeing some execution with wave dashing, electrics, everything like that, and they actually have, you know, some sort of sense to them. So I kind of want to put him in pace professionals because the characters or the players that I fight that are like not good Jin players definitely feel like they're above the Jack mains in terms of that. But I would go ahead and say that they kind of balance themselves out a little bit with the ones that actually do have a head on their shoulders. We're gonna go ahead and leave the Jin players and adhesive aficionados. Then we have Jin players, which I gotta say, the Jin players are kind of some proper citizens. I'm not really gonna lie. I mean, a couple of them, they do like that same string. I forget the string exactly. They do string into the side step, or they do string into the throw. And it's like, yeah, that's pretty predictable. But for the most part, you don't really see a whole lot of Jin players. And then when I do see her, I'm very rarely like, yo, this player's an absolute crackhead. I have no clue what the hell is going on. And not to say that it never happens, because it's Tekken 8. That's gonna happen regardless of the player or character at some point in your experience, right? But for the most part, I would say that they're pretty tame compared to the majority of the roster. Y'all let me know if I'm tripping. We don't really see June a whole lot right now. I think she's a character whose usage rate is going to creep up a little bit in the near future because she got a serious rework. Obviously, she got nerfed really heavily in the patch before last, and so a lot of people dropped her, and then she got a lot of buffs in the previous patch. And you know, I think we saw Kira was playing her in top 8 at mix-up, if I'm not mistaken, and he looked pretty solid. And I don't think he'll be the last Jin player that we're seeing anytime soon, or at least I hope not, because I think she's a pretty cool character. So yeah. Next up, we have Kazuya. And I'm sure every single Kazuya player walking the planet will scream from the heaven tops if I don't put this character in proper citizens. But here's the thing, right? I said this before and I'll say this again. I always pick on Kazuya and the Kazuya players in particular because in the past, Kazuya had this reputation of being a difficult character that requires a certain level of intelligence, execution, and actual skill and fundamentals of the game in order to excel with. I don't really think that's nearly the case anymore, and I think because that character's always had that reputation, it has convinced a lot of players who are not good at the game or knowledgeable about the game whatsoever that they are much better or more skilled or more informed than they really are simply because they play the character. That being said, there are a ton of Kazuya players I have fought that are just as flowcharty, mashy, and frankly just downright lost as a lot of other players that I've encountered. Not to mention that with some of the recent buffs that he got, I'm not gonna lie, y'all kinda getting away with some murder and Keisuke is putting the character on the map and letting everybody know what he's really capable of. That being said, I kind of like Kazuya as a character, and generally speaking, I don't think the Kazuya players are anywhere near the biggest apes in this game, but I'm not gonna lie, y'all not going to proper citizens. Y'all going right there with the Jin players, a little bit of a mixed bag. The ones that I fight that are animals, they're some pretty savage animals, but then, you know, I got a lot of respect for Kazuya at the highest level because I think he's really cool to watch. I'm not gonna lie. I was definitely root for Keisuke in a lot of his games. So it is what it is. This is what y'all gonna get. Take it or leave it. You know what I'm saying? Argue with your mom about it. And we have King. Y'all already know, straight to the top, to the moon, bang, pow, zoom. Yeah, do I even have to elaborate at all? At all? King players know 5 moves, and that's all they need to know because King is busted. You know what I'm saying? I think King is arguably still a top 5 character in this game, maybe top 3, who knows? I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Y'all let me know if I'm tripping, by the way. Y'all gonna think I'm crazy if I say I think even after all the nerfs, Dragunov and Fang are probably still the 2 best characters in the game? Because I think Dragunov and Fang might still be, but that's not what this video is about. But King, man, okay. The back 3, the throws, the power crushes, it's just like, man, oh man, oh man. And then very similar to Kazuya, he's also now got a +1 block advancing mid from crouch dash that King players swore to me, oh, it's too slow for it to be useful. Then I watched Keisuke absolutely destroy people with Kazuya's, and frankly, you could do the exact same thing with King. Yeah, one of the biggest offenders in the game, the mashiest, scrubbiest, like, yeah, King is up. Oh, and this, matter of fact, now that I'm looking at it, this next few select characters we got here, Lars, straight to the top with you. You know, Speedkicks made a tweet just yesterday, the day before, that might be my favorite tweet from him of all time. I'm not gonna lie. Matter of fact, I'm gonna do y'all a favor, and really I'm gonna do myself a favor and pull the tweet up for you because it just resonated with me on like a real spiritual level, you know what I'm saying? Just real spiritual, miracle, lyrical, individual in your swim pool type beat. It's truly a work of art. Frankly, they should frame this up and put it next to the Mona Lisa in a museum. It reads, and I quote, imagine pulling up to the Tekken function, and when people ask who you main, you gotta say Lars. Crying, laughing emoji. And just chef's kiss of a tweet, man. Storm 4 playing ass. I just saw Naruto for the first time looking ass. I don't even belong in this game face ass. I make sound effects with my mouth and do onomatopoeia out loud when I'm playing and call out the names of my attacks because I think I'm some sort of anime character. Yeah, no. Cornball Supreme, absolute dork McGee, absolute S-tier glue guzzler. In case y'all haven't noticed, this is gonna be one of my more negative videos where I'm talking my shit, but y'all just gonna have to hold that because it is what it is. Oh boy. Oh, Nick. Martial law. I'm gonna keep it a stack. I've been holding this in for far too long. I've been wanting to get this off my chest like a tumor, okay? The martial law players in Tekken 8 are some of the absolute dumbest, diabolical, wild, mashing, scrubby fighting game players I have ever encountered in my entire life. And I played Dragon Ball FighterZ for 5 years. When I tell you these niggas are the fusion players of Tekken 8, I can't stress it enough. Why the fuck is every law player on 3 or 4 bars of Wi-Fi? I ain't never in my life seen a law player on a wired connection. It makes me want to have a conniption because these motherfuckers got a glue guzzling addiction. Am I tripping? Nah, yeah, I don't know. These characters right here, they're in a 3-way deadlock for who are the biggest glue guzzlers in this game. But me personally, I'm giving it to Law, and just off principle, like these ain't really ordered like that. But Law gotta go #1, just so y'all know. He's the tippity top, the cream of the crop, the best under the sun. He's the Lord Glue Guzzler #1. You know what I'm saying? Like it just, oh boy. And then we have Paul Phoenix, who's also going at the tip And as if it wasn't bad enough, they buffed the shit out of this character, despite the fact that he was already pretty damn solid. Like, every Paul player that was on Twitter or on YouTube or Twitch after the patch was like, damn, we did not ask for this, but we will gladly take it. And if it wasn't bad enough with the way some of them already played, I simply cannot be convinced otherwise at this point that their controllers are not actually now permanently bonded to their foreheads. It's almost impressive. And then we have Nina Williams, okay? And here's my thing about Nina Williams, okay? Nina has this reputation, similar to Kazuya, as being a character that is actually really difficult to play and requires a lot of skill and knowledge and et cetera, at the high level. The problem is, the vast majority of players are not playing at that high level. But this character is so much of a bigger offender than Kazuya, because Kazuya, like, there is some actual execution barrier there, and like every character in this game and in every fighting, it has some sort of cheese gimmick or some sort of BS, or, you know what I'm saying, knowledge check shit, you know what I'm saying. Kazuya's no exception, but Nina does it far worse. String cheese for days, and they know what the power, and like, look, Nina got a little slap on the wrist. She's still a top 5 character to me. I don't know who the actual top 5 is. There's like maybe 7 or 8 characters I can touch about the top 5, but I think Nina Williams alongside Alyssa and then Dragunov and Fang are probably still in that top 5. I don't know. That's just me. I don't know. Paul King up there too. I don't know. Like I said, it's like 6, 7 characters. That's not the point of today's list. The Nina players, I'm beginning to think that if you play any of these 5 characters in the top list, it was like a prerequisite requirement to even access the character on your game that you failed the 3rd or 4th grade at least once or twice. Like, I'm just saying, you know, is it just me? Because I don't think it is. I don't think it's just me. It's funny too, because I'm talking mad cash in this video. Like, you play one. We gonna get there when we get there. Shut up. Anyway, next. Evelyn Xiaoyu, who, generally speaking, Xiaoyu can be a little bit more of a mixed bag, I would say, but it definitely leans more toward the top than the bottom of the list. And a matter of fact, I got a clip that I'm going to show you. I'm going to put on screen right now from like one of my earlier sessions of playing the game. And this is just, I just want you to see like the average mind of a Xiaoyu player. And the craziest part about that is, I still don't think she's touching these 5 characters above her, despite what you just saw. Lord knows if I ever saw the inner workings of these characters' brains and the people who play them, it would tear my mind asunder. The reality of my world would come crashing down around me. The average mind cannot comprehend the machinations of a Nina player, or a King player, or a Law player, okay? They're built different in the worst way. Xiaoyu goes right below him. Then we have Asuka right there with Xiaoyu. Cement savants, just parry after parry after parry, can, spin, twirl, oh, I'm doing unblockable, oh damn, you stood down, I got, oh god. You know what I'm saying? Like, pretty predictable, but it don't matter to them. And it's funny too, because the craziest part to me about Asuka players is that Asuka, like by design, is a very defensive character. And like for a while, I started to question myself, like, am I wrong in like my understanding of Asuka and how she works? And even as somebody who played a lot of her in Tekken 7, I was like, am I wrong about this character? No, Asuka is a defensive character. And yet, Asuka players are some of the most aggressive players in the entire game. Make it make sense. Make it make sense, because if it don't make dollars, then it don't make sense. And I can't find my coin purse. Yeah, I don't know. Then we have Leroy, Pace Professional. I hate to do it to him, Leroy, but it just is what it is. Very similarly, they're always doing some sort of parry or whatever, going into their stances and whatnot. And Leroy is one of the characters as well, where if you do not know the matchup, which again, this type of thing applies to like all types of characters and all types of games, but if you don't know that matchup, they gonna abuse it with this cheesiest, gimmickiest, wildest stuff that they got in their arsenal. And well, Leroy got a lot of stuff in his arsenal. Then we have Lily, Cement Savant for sure. This character is still pretty damn strong even after the nerfs. Definitely not like a top 5 character, maybe still top 10. I don't really know. I think she's still solid, but the people who play her, not very solid in their playstyles for the most part. Obviously, there's gonna be exceptions to every rule, okay? These statements I'm making are not concrete blanket statements that are supposed to apply to 100% of the player base, but if the shoe fit, feel free to lace that motherfucker up and wear it, you know what I'm saying? Skip to my Lou on some shit. I don't really care like that. But what I am saying is, voila, my nigga, because they still wilding out. Word to my nigga Nick Cannon, okay? And then we have Hwarong, who I'm gonna put my bias aside, okay? I play the character, I like the character, but what I didn't realize until it was too late in this game is that with the increased popularity of him, because he's far more popular in Tekken 8 than he has ever been, and I had some people try to lie to me like, no, Hwarong has always been super popular because he's always been super gimmicky and super easy and da-da-da. Now, I went back and did the research, so I'm like, once again, I questioned myself, like, because even though I was around, I'm like, am I drunk? Am I high? Like, no, that nigga has never been higher than like 9th or 10th at best, and now he's consistently like 4th or 5th place, which is a decent jump. And even before that, he's been outside of the top 10 for the majority of the history of Tekken. So where all these niggas talk about, oh, Hwarong's always been super popular, it's beyond me. It's beyond me. That being said, the majority of the niggas who play this character are ass. I'm just gonna say it. Caught. It is what it is. I'm keeping it a $150 thou wow milli willy, you feel me? Milli vanilli, but this is really how it goes. Like, it's just, y'all are some bums. Not me though, y'all stay safe out there. I legitimately think, no funny shit, I deadass think my highest win rate in the entire game is against Hwarong, and I don't know how much of it has to do with the fact that I play the character and more so that the people who play that character just don't have a brain. And it's crazy too, because I genuinely think that Hwarong can be a very difficult character that requires a lot of skill and some execution and knowledge and a lot of risk as well that's tied into the reward that he has, and also has a lot of drawbacks. And again, these things apply to every character, you know what I mean? But like, I get so much backlash when I was like anytime I say that the character has any level of difficulty to him, because people who are in the red ranks are still getting curb stomped by him, people in the purple ranks who think that they're good at the game because they're in the purple ranks are getting curb stomped by him, and then they're like, oh my god, Hwarong's so broken or overpowered, like the character's so easy, and then like you get just a little bit higher than that in like the skill of the game, you realize, man, this character actually like struggles a lot to fight against like all the actual good characters. But I digress. We have Claudio, who I'm putting in adhesive aficionado. He's almost proper citizen, but the running move and then just the hop kick, like I just can't, you know what I'm saying, just right there with you. Plus, since Gold has been doing so well lately in a lot of these events, I feel like the usage of Claudio has jumped up a little bit, because people I'll always think, damn, this character must be really good if this guy's winning with him. Same thing goes with like Shaheen, and we'll get to Shaheen later, but yeah, adhesive aficionado is about as low as I can go with Claudio. Then we have Azucena, who before would have arguably been in Gorilla Glue Guzzlers. I'm debating between Cement Savant and Pace Professional. The thing with Azucena is that her usage rate has dropped a lot since the nerfs. And so the majority of the people that actually play the character now are people who like genuinely like her and think that she's pretty cool. And I still think that she's pretty solid and a decently strong character as well. Like obviously not top tier anymore, but it's still viable. But you're forced now to use more of her moveset than you were before, and she's actually a much more unique and interesting character because of that. I actually think that the way that they reworked and like balanced her is actually quite interesting, and I want to see more of that in the future when it comes to a lot of these characters. That's kind of like what their agenda was in these last couple of patches. That being said, a lot of them still kind of just haven't figured out what to do now with the changes, and so I kind of feel like they're still up there with the Lilies and the Oscars. Maybe not nearly as bad though. Do I bump her down to Pace Professional? Because I feel like they're not nearly as egregious as they were before, and obviously she as a character is just much easier to deal with, so they don't abuse some of the strings and some of the moves like running 3-2 or like down forward 1-4-1 as much as they used to. But I don't know. I feel like just off principle, I'm still putting her up there. It is what it is. Next up, we have Raven, who I have mixed feelings about, because similar to like a character like Hwarong, right? He's a character that actually does require a decent amount of skill, or he's like a Hwarong or a Nina, where it's like, okay, when you don't know this matchup, he feels impossible to fight. It's like, what is he doing? He's over there doing all these strings and all these moves and has all this evasion like he's Xiaoyu or something. I don't understand. But he's actually pretty weak in this game, and so when you know the matchup, he falls dramatically, and a lot of the players that I've encountered in my experience don't really understand a whole lot about what they're doing with their character either. They kind of just like always mashing like the shadow clone stuff, and then like they spend their heat as soon as they get it. They're whiffing launches from full screen and just hope that you won't run into it and everything like that. So bare minimum, he goes in Pitch Professional. I'm debating throwing him in Cement Savant, because I do feel like a lot of the Raven players I'd be fighting be wilding out kind of crazy, but is he really on the level of like an Oscar or a Xiaoyu? I feel like he kind of is, but I don't really know. You know what I'm saying? Also, I'm trying to show the brothers a little bit of love, and unfortunately, the brothers don't want to show me no love back I think Raven actually is a complex and kind of interesting character with some depth to him, but you don't really experience that the majority of the time when you're fighting him online, because all the Raven players that you've ever fought, all they do is like whiff the little backflip from full screen, right? Hoping that you run into that launcher. They go for sweeps and they go for like the little shadow clone parry, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Substitution jutsu. Oh, and 1+2 throw. Raven players love their 1+2 throw. Definitely feel like they're bigger offenders than like a Jin or a Kazuya, so I can't move them any lower. Yeah, I want to show some love, but this is as low as I can go. Then we have Dragunov, which I said I think Dragunov is probably still the best character in the game. And he's absolutely still top tier. Very, very strong character. The thing is though, even though I fought some pretty bad Dragunov players, they're not normally as stupid, I think, as some of the others, because it's hard to be too dumb with Drag because he's just so good and his just like really simple tools are so strong and effective. Down 2, back 1+2, the up 4, 1+2 throw, you know what I mean? Like he's got a couple of strings you throw in there, and then you're pretty much good to go. You know what I mean? So it's like, they still be kind of wilding out because they are well aware of the character that they're piloting, so I can't really go lower than Cement Savant, but they're not quite Gorilla Glue Guzzler, because like these are characters that when you play, I might be convinced that you don't have a single clue what you're doing, but you're just hoping that I don't know either. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like that's the MO of a lot of these characters. Like I don't know what I'm doing, but hopefully you don't know what I'm doing either, and then I'll end up winning. With these characters, it's like, no, I kind of have an idea what I'm doing. And it ain't really a whole lot you're gonna be able to do about it unless you know this matchup specifically. And in the case of a character like Dragunov, it's like, well, good luck. Fold your hands and pray, I guess. Pick a deity of your choice and get to reciting them prayers. There's just a certain like air around a Dragunov player when I fight them that was just like they know, like they expect to win because they know the character you're playing. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Kuma and Panda, Gorilla Glue Guzzler. Like I just like I don't want to have a ton of characters up there at the top of the list, but it's just like, you almost have to be a glue guzzler to play these characters though. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like they're meant to be super gimmicky and stupid and random and wild and have like these fucked up hitboxes and do ridiculous amounts of damage and everything like that. And it's kind of like you get snowballed really heavily. They rolling all over the ground. So like the character itself is like a big like joke. So you got to play the character like a big joke, unless you're wrong to, in which case like you be memeing, but your memeing is actually backed up by some solid skill and fundamental and experience and talent. So it's just, you know what I'm saying, it's another story entirely. But yeah, I didn't think the Gorilla Glue Guzzler tier was gonna end up being the most stacked tier, but at the rate things is going, that's kind of where we at. That's kind of where we at. And we have Leo players, which like, I don't even really know where to begin with Leo, because this is a character you don't come across very often, right? But when you do, they all play like that. And I don't know how to explain what I mean by that, but it's just like, every single time I fight a Leo player, I always ask myself, yo, why are you like this? Okay. And it's a few characters like that, but Leo's definitely one of those, why are you like this as characters? Okay. Then we have Shaheen, who I feel like has changed a bit, obviously, since AK has been putting on the performances that he has, where before I would have probably put Shaheen in Proper Citizens. And I still feel like he's probably lower on this list compared to some of these other characters. I don't know. I feel like he's gone up a little bit because the character has seen like an increase in usage, which has seen an increase obviously in the number of players, which is the same thing that was redundant. I don't know why I said it like that. Like, I got the point the first motherfucking time. I'm gonna put him up there with Claudio, you know what I'm saying, because of slide, guard break, and everything like that. And I'm starting to see starting to see the Shaheen players wound out just a tiny little bit, because people are starting to realize the strength of this character, because he was very underplayed, and I'm not certain why. I don't know if it's because other people just find him as boring as I do as a character, but strong. Pretty damn strong. Got nerfed now, buffed in some other ways, but still pretty good. Then we have Steve, who I want to put in Proper Citizens, because I feel like the majority of the time when I fight Steve, they don't really do anything too egregious. I mean, Steve's not like a super duper like overpowered character in this game either. He doesn't have like a ton of abusable things. He's gotten better and better and better as this game has gone on, because he's gotten buffed patch after patch after patch. I feel like the buff to the DF2 and like the cancels from Lionheart and everything like that, and the guard break and everything. But that being said, outside of like a lot of Steve players just like kind of mashing back one a lot and just hoping to get lucky with the counter hit, I don't really feel like when I fight Steve it'd be anything too crazy. Like, yeah, they throw a lot of punches, but if you just block it out and like duck the highs, or if you got a character with a punch parry, not really too much of a problem. Like, I think he might still be a little bit underrated, but I'm gonna go ahead and throw Steve down there in Proper Citizens. It is what it is. The biggest offense of Steve is honestly his voice acting, because I just don't think the voice actor did a particularly great job portraying the character, but that's just me. Next up, we have Yoshimitsu, which, remember when I said like Leo players are all, it's always like, why do you play like that? I say the same thing with Yoshimitsu, man. Yoshimitsu players have the option to play like in a really cool or like really like condensed way, or like, you know, more reserved or whatever. And like, I understand it, you know, that play style ain't for everybody, and you're free to choose to play the character however you want. That being said, they all choose to play him in the most asinine, like chaotic way humanly possible. So yeah, I'm convinced that Yoshimitsu players all over the world have all unanimously and universally agreed that if you're not trolling as hard as you possibly can when to play the character, you're not playing him right. The dumber the decision, the better. All in the vein of, wouldn't it be funny if, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like that's what goes through like every Yoshimitsu player like brain when they're playing the game. Like, wouldn't it be funny? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So Yoshi goes up there. Then we have Fang, who is a cement savant, very similar. Like everything I said that applies to Dragunov applies to Fang. It's the exact same shit. The exact same shit. Like I think Dragunov and Fang are still the two best characters in the game. It's arguable, debatable. I don't know. Just like I don't really know if the nerds matter that much. And when I find them, then kind of doing the same shit. But that's just me. It's me. Alyssa, again, I don't want this top tier to be the one with the most characters, but like is anybody other than an Alyssa player gonna sit here and tell me? Is there anybody who's not an Alyssa player gonna sit here and tell me, truthfully, look me in my eye and tell me Alyssa's not a glue guzzler? Real shit? Dead ass. For real. On Ja? I didn't think so. Then we have Devil Jin, who I'm actually gonna throw in Proper Citizens. It's a damn shame because like Devil Jin was like really good at the start, and then like they've nerfed him, and now he's pretty weak. Now you don't really see him that much, and then when you do see him, I have like 1 or 2 Devil Jin players where I'm like, hey yo, what the fuck is this nigga doing? But generally speaking, again, it's always exceptions to the rules, baby. I feel like they're even more tame than like the Jin and the Kazuya players. That's just my own personal, keyword personal experience. Your results may vary. Then we have Lee, definitely a pace professional. I know Lee has this reputation of being an actual difficult character to play. Yeah, that's all well and good. The majority of the Lee players I fight ain't doing none of the hard shit, okay? In fact, the majority of the Lee players I fight are just doing power crushes, whiffing launchers, and hoping that they get to use their Wild Rising launcher now because you can just go into the heat and it doesn't drop anymore. You know what I'm saying? Because they extended the hitbox on heat burst. Yeah, I just, you know what I mean? I find the character corny anyway, so maybe I'm putting him a little bit higher than I really should, but fight about it. Then we have Zafina, who I don't really find particularly offensive. The thing with Zafina is that she's a character that obviously is like really weird and unorthodox in it of herself. Not too dissimilar from like the Bears and whatnot, but she's like not as, well, is she as gimmicky as the Bears? Not like no one's more gimmicky than the Bears, but very similar. It's like if you don't know this matchup, you're gonna get smoked. And like once a Zafina player realizes that you don't know the matchup, because most people don't, they're definitely gonna roll with it and just start hitting you with everything, and including the kitchen sink, and just you know. But I mean, typically when I fight Zafina players, they don't really do anything like too crazy or like too stupid or too dumb. Like sure, they occasionally get away with murder because I'm just like the rest of y'all. I don't know the matchup extremely well my damn self, so I'm gonna let her sit there, and she can be frustrating in the fight more so just because it's just like she's on the ground crawling around and doing all this weird shit. But and she's also very pretty, so we gonna let her, you know what I'm saying, enjoy. Then we have Victor. Again, I thought that I'd have more characters lower on the list, but as I'm sitting here thinking about it, doing this in real time, yet again, much like with Alyssa, is a single one of you motherfuckers who don't play Victor really gonna sit here, look me in the eye, and tell me he don't belong at the top of this list? Because I'll tell you what, because Victor players ain't figured it out yet. You know what I'm saying? Like some characters, some players have actually adjusted their play styles a little bit. Like Azucena players have adjusted more than the Victor players have after the last 2 patches. Victor players think you can just going willy-nilly with the power crush. With the 1+2, they still just doing down back 4s, they only low. You know what I'm saying? They're still just running 2 into stance into whatever. They haven't changed at all, despite the change. Everybody acted like the sky was falling, like Victor was in the gutter after his changes, when I was like, nah, I think he's actually still gonna be fine. I think he's actually gonna be pretty good. It's actually a much more interesting character now. They ain't changed at all. They still doing the same old shit they was doing before. They're just getting punished a little bit harder for it now. Yeah, zero ability to adapt whatsoever from the Victor players, not gonna lie. Brian, I want to put in Proper Citizens, but like the thing is with Brian is that because his kit is revolved around doing counter hits and stuff, you just have like way too many players who are just like whiffing strings constantly, whether it's up close in your face or from afar, and just like hoping and praying constantly that you run into some shit or that you just mash a button, which then just leads to them mashing more and everything like that. Plus, I feel like Brian is one of those characters where a lot of the players I fight, they're constantly just trying to do like Wild Rising launchers or like Fisherman Slam and everything like that. So, you know, and then the snake edges and stuff, it's just like, yeah, I feel like the Brian players is relying on scrub tactics a lot more than some of the other players, at least until you get to a much higher level, which most of you and myself are not at. So, you know, even though I want to put him down here because I actually got a lot of respect for Brian, I think he's really cool, and honestly is one of my favorite characters to watch at the highest level. Shout out Tone, shout out Ty, shout out Nee, shout out Jimmy J Tran, even though he don't really be around as much as he used to, you know what I'm saying? All them guys, all them folk. But unfortunately, he got to go up here in adhesive aficionados. You know what I'm saying? Not nearly as egregious as some of these other characters, but I can't put him too much lower than that because it just is what it is. Then we have 2 characters left, really 3, but Lydia's not out yet. We're going to see. I have a feeling just my premonition, just my prognostication, my prediction, if you will. But only time will tell. But Eddie's going up here, and then Reina's going definitely not up here. Cement Savant. The thing is, you still have a lot of random players who are just doing 4-4-2 and into mix up or whatever, you know, pick an option. Guilty as charged, by the way. But I don't find her, and again, maybe it's biased because I play the character, but I don't find her nearly as offensive as some of these other characters. Like, yeah, she can really get the ball rolling and snowball you, and that could be a pain, but the majority of the random players I fight, like, I don't fight Reina and go like, wow, this person's an idiot. Like, there are certain random players like I'll fight and it's like, okay, they only pick like these 1 or 2 options or whatever, and like I know that I have to adapt and like deal with those specific options. But in terms of like them just being really wild or random or just like doing really dumb shit, I don't really feel like that applies to Reina as much in my own experience. You know what I mean? I damn near kind of want to put it down here, if I'm honest. Almost improper. Am I convincing myself too much because I play the character? Is that my bias, Sean? That might be my bias, Sean. Let me sit here and think about it for a minute. Adhesive aficionados is where I'm going. That's as high as I go on Reina, because like when we think about the characters that are high up on this list, it's about them being like mad Unga, right? And I think even though Reina can be aggressive, it's not really an Unga type of aggressive. You know what I mean? Because when I'm fighting a character like Paul or Victor, right? They're and Lars, they're being as random as they possibly can, right? Just kind of like mashing and spamming on their control and just you know what I mean? I don't get that vibe from Reina. You know what I mean? But that's just me. Y'all can feel free to disagree. And then Eddie is Eddie. I don't think I even got to talk on Eddie because the majority of the player base hates Eddie anyway. I think he's a really cool character to play and a much less cool character to fight. But he's easier to fight now because they did nerf him. Obviously, the power crush is easier to deal with. He's launch punishable on like his counter hit launcher now, and yeah, it's he's just a much easier character to deal with than he already was, and he's already a character who's pretty linear, and you know, it's just one of those matchup type of things. But that don't stop them from being pretty nutty players. You know what I mean? Could I see? I want to bump somebody down for the sake of this list not being too stacked at the top of the tier, because it's like, oh, so just most characters in the games are glue eaters. But the answer is yes. Yes, they are. Most niggas in this game is a glue eater. Okay, the game is OD aggressive, and that has encouraged some really mashy, scrubby behavior. It is what it is, and that's cool. Sort of. That's fine. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that the game sucks because of it necessarily. You know what I mean? But what I am saying is that we knew this going into the game. Okay, that the agenda, the philosophy, the design for the game was aggression, offense, pushing more buttons. This game encourages not only aggressive offense, but also encourages aggressive defense in the form of active defense, where they want you to push more buttons. And Lord, do these motherfuckers do a great job of pushing as many buttons as possible. Okay, so with that, I think that wraps up the official glue eater tier list for Tekken 8. I'm sure some of y'all got some words to say with me. I'm expecting a lot of dislikes on this video. Argue with your mom about it. I don't really care. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hit this video a like if you enjoy it. Subscribe if you haven't already so you can stay tuned for all this content I'm bringing you. With all that being said, that's pretty much all for today. And remember, nothing can happen to you from the bad. Later.